So I've had over 400 guests on, and I have yet to have a guest on whose business is led by a husband and wife team and most of their kids.
It's hard to beat a nice real estate platform that's a little bit of foundation for you. Stay in front of the wave of growth and make it easy on yourself. Don't go where it's going to take a long time to make something happen.
Zoning is an art. It's not easy, and it's not a guarantee. It's a lot of storytelling and a lot of community engagement.
We bought a lake, 50 cents a foot, and then drained half of it.
So you bought it, drained half of it, and turned it into developable land? I've never heard of somebody do that.
We want to create something that's going to be good. How do we become a place? How do we not be random?
Could you have ever imagined DFW would be where it is today? All right, Lucy, I've been very excited about getting to meet you. It's a real treat.
Well, you shouldn't have been, but it's a pleasure for me to get to meet you.
Okay, I wanted to start with one of the most unique things. So I've had over 400 guests on, and I have yet to have a guest on whose business is led by a husband and wife team and most of their kids. And so I really wanted to dive deep into like how you have thought about building a true family business.
Well, I came out of one, and my family's business, I chose to exit, and I chose to get out because I didn't want to be a minority vote. I'd much rather be in a much smaller pond and make my own mistakes.
Okay.
And Henry works with my dad's company. And when we got married, he left the company and launched a business buying raw land. I stayed over at the Dallas Market Center for 12 or so more years, or maybe more than that. And when I left the Market Center, I just saw all of this raw land Henry had. And I said, wait, quit selling it. Let's go develop something. And he's the cautious person, and I want to jump off the high board and hope there's water. And so we went in and started developing on his land. And when I left the Market Center, I moved into his office. Now that's a worrisome thing. What wife is going to come into her husband's office? And we, made it a little bit bigger and whatnot. And so then I said, I'm not going into his office. I'm just going to be officing in the same space. I'm not going to be the pushy female that, could be pretty natural for me to be. And then so he started, touching base and coming down to my office. And I thought, this is nice. It's worked so easily the whole way.
Really?
If you ever disagree on a deal, the relationship's more important than the deal. So there you go. And obviously I'm right, he's wrong, but let it be. And so we do very different things. Our natures are very different. We agree, 90% of the time or more, and really hold each other in high regard. So it's before we even talk about how marriage is hard. Marriage isn't hard.
What's the secret?
You've got to respect and love the person, but respect is hugely important.
Okay.
And so, then how did the kids get in the business? When we started building things, we put it in the kids' names. They, obviously could go do anything they wanted to in life, but it's hard to beat a nice real estate platform that's, a little bit of foundation for you. And so they each came in a different way, through, different paths to get into the business. They obviously have different personalities and different skill sets. And they're really great people. And so they have super high integrity and respect for each other. And so we've tried to set it up so that if you're the majority owner and asset, you are the one making the decisions. If somebody else is in it, they're along for the ride. Because I don't need to have siblings have to discuss a business issue that they have a financial interest in. That's putting a lot of pressure on a relationship. And it's easier for husband and wife to say the deal's not as important as a relationship. Harder for siblings, having 5 brothers. So anyway, so far it's worked out great, and they're all, can do anything that we used to do. They can do it all.
There's so much I want to unpack there. Let's just start with putting the properties in the kids' names. Is this something that was just obvious to you? Has this evolved over time? Did somebody teach you this is how you should do it? I actually haven't heard of this. Like, how did you land on this being a solution?
Dad did it.
Interesting.
And if you do that, you don't have to give your assets to the kids in the future. No estate tax and all that. You just let it be theirs. And we might keep a 1% GP interest.
Yeah,
certainly. While they're young.
True North Advisors wasn't built to mirror the industry, but to rethink about it entirely. Since 2000, they've served business owners, entrepreneurs, and families as a multifamily office and private wealth advisory firm. With over $5.6 billion under management and offices in Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, and Kerrville, they're real investors, not just allocators. Conflict-free counsel. Portfolios built around your life and not just the market. A conversation is the first step north. Visit truenorthadvisors.com to learn more.
Okay, when you joined the business, so Henry was buying land. At the time, was it just land speculation and he would just buy it, hold it, sell it? Or what was like, so when you joined, was there like a certain project you were ready to develop? Because you said like, I came in and said, let's start developing. What was like, get a little more specific. So what happened?
And I was at the Dallas Market Center for 15 years.
Right.
And left that. And when I left, I took the travel agency that I'd launched there. And I spent a few years saying, I've been in a family business. Can I do this on my own?
Right.
Can I succeed? So the travel agency was the experience that gave me the confidence that I could do business independently. And so I did that for a couple of years. But I was sitting here, seeing all this land, and finally said, yeah, let's get into mainstream real estate. I'd never been into development. No, let me correct that. I developed some design centers, but they're very specialty projects. So I hadn't done mainstream. I don't know what your question was. Did I answer?
Well, the question was, so he had land. Did you have a specific project already in mind of when I come in, we're going to start developing that? Got it. So the world was your oyster, kind of.
Yeah, just look at where the land was. He had the four corners of Bush and the Tollway. And we bought that property before Bush was designated as its exact location. So anyway, so then we went to the northwest corner and started doing the office buildings out there.
Okay. Have y'all's roles stayed the same over all these years? Or like, how would you say, what do you do and what does he do?
Yes, they've been very similar. Henry did industrial development, and I did everything else.
Okay.
And Henry doesn't want to manage people. He's so anything. Running the on operations, that's me. But I'm a hamster. I mean, one year for Christmas, he gave me a hamster wheel. I returned it for $10 to the toy store. But I'm constantly busy.
What's a hamster? Just someone that's always busy?
Yeah, just on the wheel running.
Okay, so what's your leadership philosophy? How do you think about operating?
Well,
people are messy. People are great, but people are people.
I would never want to be managed. And so I don't want to manage people. So I want to have people join our team that want to take it and run with it. And we agree on all the essence of where we're going, how to get there, values, standards. And, we've got an executive team and we have people who manage people. I can't pretend that we don't. But you don't see a lot of management out of me.
How many direct reports do you have?
Well, now the kids are in the business.
Okay.
So it's very, the kind people in our company say, who do they report to? That's confusing. So at one point, I probably had 8 or 9.
Okay.
And now I have parts of people.
Y'all are one of the best master plan developers in DFW. And I really want to get inside the head of like how these work, because these are multi-decade long projects. So starting, how do y'all think about location? How do you even think about what we're going to go by next? I'm looking at this incredible map of big land tracts all over DFW, but how does it start?
Well, that's Henry.
Okay.
And whenever any other ones of us have gotten interested in saying, oh, here's something interesting land, he ignores us. And what he really does is stay in front of the wave of growth and make it easy on yourself. Don't go where it's going to take a long time to make something happen. So that's mostly been, the central to Stemmons corridor, obviously verging off the sides of those. That's the area that he's focused on.
How far in front of growth do y'all want to be if you measured it in years? Are you buying something that might sit for 10 years or 2 years or 20 years?
Yeah. Easily 30 or 40. The Austin Ranch is a development that we've had he bought it sometime in the 70s. Some of maybe 80s, but let's say 80s. And we're still developing it. It's next to Legacy and Grandscape in that area. It's 1,700 acres. And we're probably 50% built.
How long did it just sit as raw land once you acquired it? Did it sit for a decade without being touched, or do things start happening pretty immediately after acquisition?
No, Henry bought it before we got into development ourselves.
Okay.
So he put some roads in.
Yep.
And then it sat probably 10 years before we started doing anything.
So what was the catalyzer? Why? What started happening?
That's when ISIS came in and said, "Let's start building."
Okay, you're the catalyzer.
Yeah. And so we started out building multifamily there. That's our first multifamily.
On some of the more recent tracks, though, how far ahead of growth do you think you are, generally speaking? Like if you close on a piece of land, how long does it sit raw without much earth moving before something starts happening?
If it's a single family,
okay,
we just wait until the market's hot.
Okay.
And there, historically, we've done some lot development. We might do some more in the future, but we've also traded.
Okay.
If it is multifamily, we could be waiting years.
Yeah.
We don't want to be the first ones in a market. We want to have the market be a higher income market. Office, it's when does the market permit? So we're patient. And, we don't have all the capital in the world. We got more land than we have capital.
Right. And
so we, just cherry pick which market do we want to be building in.
Okay, I'm going to dig deep on that in a second. What has to be true for you to close? So you said Stemmons corridor, path of growth. What else have y'all checked a box on? Does it have to have like water? Does it have to be out of a floodplain? Like what has to be true about the site? And are you pre-planning the site before acquisition? Or are you saying, look, we know we have a great piece of land and we'll begin the planning process post-acquisition? Like when does that planning process start? And what else has to be true when you get to closing for a piece of land to fit y'all's like criteria?
Not much.
Okay.
It has to be a great value.
Okay.
And, we'll pay for the net acreage. So being next to floodplain's lovely.
Okay.
We don't have utilities on all of our sites.
Okay.
We're in ETJs, not necessarily cities. We don't have zoning. And when obviously it's in ag.
Yeah.
That's a requirement. It has to be
okay.
In ag. And then we just start the whole process. So that's what I'm doing a lot of now, is working on utilities and zoning. And
what's the difference between being in an ETJ and being in a city?
An ETJ, you may not have any utilities. The cities don't have and actually we've been pushed out. McKinney's pushed land out of ETJs, so they have no longer an obligation to serve. So the time frame to get into a city is a longer thing, and then you've got to go negotiate the utilities and then clearly the zoning. If you can develop outside of the city, not come in at all, and get your utilities, then you can zone yourself. So that's totally different.
Okay, so y'all own a piece of land. What do those first design meetings start looking like, where you have this blank canvas? And then I would have to imagine the follow-up question to that is, how many times does a plan change over 20 or 30 years? So maybe let's just start with, envision yourself walking into a room. There's a big map. Here's what we own. How do you think about planning out a site?
So first you'll do some of that to get your zoning.
Yep.
But then put that aside and come back and let me start your question with, and now we really want to do something.
Right.
What we will do is come design the public arena. That's clearly streets, but it's also where are the parks, where are the amenities, what is going to make this be a place? I'll give an example. Out at Cypress Waters, which is at Beltline and LBJ, the development out there, this is a 1,300 acre property. The development out there was small office, a lot of industrial, a little random. So we're coming out here and saying the competition out there is not expensive. We want to create something that's going to be good. How do we become a place? How do we not be random? So instead of putting out suburban office buildings where you got the big parking lot in the building, we built the street and had 3 parks, hold the buildings up to the parks. So everybody now is together. You've got a core of a place, and then you amenitize the parks. Then we went on down to where there's a lake there and had, the big drive down the hill to the lake. So you've got some sense of arrival, and then put a 6-mile trail system around the lake, and then start with a sound stage on the water, the retail in that zone. So all of this is public amenities, and we're still saying, what's the next one? How do we think of something different? So we added the pickleball and tennis courts. Now we're going to bring some little soccer, city futsal was coming out there. So there's a constant look to say, how do we create a great public arena? And if we have that, and if we have retail, we're off to the races.
And is there anything that comes to mind of maybe it's other developers that you watch, or maybe it's from your own projects? What works as a place and what doesn't work as a place? Like, where do you go, man, either we missed it or they totally missed it thinking this would be an attraction?
No, that's a great question. I think one of the things is, if you're creating a park, is it a park to look at and see that it's beautiful, or is it a park to be active? And you got to address that correctly. Because if you meant it to be active and it's dead, there's the miss.
Yep.
And on parks, as an example, I think you do have to start creating events and reasons for people to come, or you have to have destination activities. So up in Allen, we've got a park named Bravo Park. We're just opening it, and it's in the woods. And so we've got pickleball courts in the woods. Fun. Now you've got a reason to come. Well, I got 2 dog parks. Now I've got a dog park in the water. So now you've got another reason to come. Then we're putting restaurants there. Give you that reason. Then we're going to put the soccer in, another reason. Now I've got to go do a playground. So I've got to create destinations.
Okay. I want to go real quick back, because you said there's work that needs to be done just to get zoning. Yeah. Zoning is an art. It's not easy, and it's not a guarantee. It's a lot of storytelling and a lot of community engagement. What have you learned about zoning after all these years that gives you guys confidence when you go into these projects? Like, what should people be thinking about if they're going to do a 1,700 acre development, but really anything? Like, what matters in zoning?
First off, communication. These processes cities have, in many instances, do not invite they're not good processes. You work with city staff. You've got to get them on the team. If they're not on the team, you're not going to get your zoning. And then you've got to be able to communicate individually with people on planning and zoning and city council, at least the people that represent your district and the lead on the team. Some cities really don't encourage that, which is inappropriate, because you've got an X million dollar something and they're giving you 30 minutes. That's not the right way to get there. Neighbors, absolutely. We've got to engage with neighbors. There, you don't always have to have their support.
Right.
And then now for us, we've been doing this long enough that we've got a portfolio of assets to say, here's what this is coming. And that helps a lot. Back in earlier years, getting multifamily zoning was really a killer, and it's less difficult now.
Here's something I think about a lot. Everything in our lives compound. The businesses, the investments, the relationships we all put work into. But time doesn't. You spend it once and it's gone forever. That's a big part of why people fly with AirShare. What I like about AirShare is they meet you where you are. Want to own a share of a plane? They have fractional ownership. Fly a handful of days a year? There's a jet card for that. Already own a plane? They'll manage everything for you. Need a one-off trip? They offer charter worldwide. They've been doing this for over 25 years, operate their own fleet, and hold the top safety ratings in the industry. However you fly with them, you drive up to the FBO, walk on, and just go. If time is the asset you're actually trying to protect, go check out AirShare at flyAirshare.com. That's flyAirshare.com.
By the time you're in the room, half the decision is already made. An allocator forms an opinion of your firm long before the first meeting, from your materials, your presence, and your positioning. And that impression is worth real money. Collateral Partners exists exactly for that. One team shaping how your firm is understood instead of a dozen vendors each holding a piece. The market pays for what it understands. See how the market sees you at collateral.com/powers. That's collateral.com/powers.
Over the arc of time, do cities still want the same things for their cities? Like if you envision some of your first zoning cases, or not even just zoning, but you have all these probably public-private partnerships that you run. What do cities want in 2026? And has that kind of stood the test of time, or have things changed over time?
I think that the planning departments, and they're very thoughtful. They do want the best for their cities. The parks departments are very involved. So the standards, I think, are probably heightened, have increased over time, and in a good way, I think appropriately. The state has come in and removed the rights of cities to be able to have controls that they heretofore had, such as on multifamily. The cities cannot give us design standards anymore. I think that's a shame. We still build what we built when the design standards were there, but other people don't need to. A merchant builder can build something that's less quality. So cities have lost some rights, and clearly this SB 840 has taken from larger cities the zoning control off of office and commercial property can now be multifamily under certain circumstances.
How many times are your plans changing over the years? Like maybe let's go, maybe a better way to frame that question would be, when you do your first design and planning study, you probably end up with a lot of massings, and this is where we'll do commercial and multi and office. But over 30 years, do those massings change, or is it just like ideas change? Like, I just imagine over that many years, things take a life of their own that
Absolutely.
you didn't expect.
They absolutely do. The road structure stays, the roadways.
Right.
So your primary framework, but jump into the office world. Are we going to be able to have as many office buildings in the future as we've been building? I know the momentum's slowed, but what's the future? And so the future of office absolutely will impact a lot of our developments.
Do you have an opinion on the future of office?
I think that the momentum is going to stay slow.
Okay.
But great office markets will continue to be great. The single buildings on a freeway without amenities are going to have a really tough time.
And we were going to get into the market, but since we're already talking about office, keep going. Like what? Obviously, COVID, most dramatic thing we've ever experienced, probably impacted office maybe the most of any of the classes. But we all kind of know that. What is it like in 2026? How do you describe the office market? I know there's quality versus less quality, but if you had to tell somebody, here's what I think's going on in the market, what do you think's going on in the market?
Well, what we're experiencing is Cypress Waters as my example, because it's hugely amenitized. It's a great office market.
Okay.
And I think there are other great office markets. Uptown, strong. Obviously, up the tollway, you've got strong areas, and you've got some that aren't. I mean, it's very discriminating, and it's discriminating due to the amenities and new buildings. Coming in as obviously succeeding, and the costs on these new buildings are hitting rates, real rates that we've never seen in the city before.
Are tenants requiring anything differently? Like obviously they do want the amenity, but inside the walls, is there anything, or is it pretty much back to normal?
I think it's normal but expensive.
TI is expensive.
Yeah, super expensive.
Like what are some of these TI packages?
$90 a foot, $100 a foot. I mean, you guys say, when do we know what rate do you have to charge to afford that? So that's obviously not everybody, and it's first generation space that's requiring that. But
can y'all underwrite it differently? Probably a lot of y'all are essentially permanent capital, your family capital. As I understand it, don't have lots of partners. How does that impact y'all's underwriting? Does it change anything, or do you underwrite it the same way somebody with a partner would underwrite it?
Yeah, math is math.
Yeah.
And so it's just the question for us is, when's the market ready for more office? We haven't built an office building in 2 years. When's the market ready? What's the equity going to be now? It's because it's going to be huge equity.
Yep.
Because the costs have gone up so much. And then obviously you've got to get the right returns.
Okay, so I keep going back. So we have this plan, and let's just say it was built in the early 2000s, had lots of office. Now you're met with the question, is there going to be lots of office? What goes through Billingsley? Like how do you start to question the project? Because you have the land. So what is the sequence of steps that you go, okay, it might not be office. Now what should it be? Or is it obvious? Or how do you go from, we thought there would be a lot of office here, to maybe it'll be residential or multi or retail or who knows what?
So at Cypress Waters, we're zoned over this 1,300 acres for 10,000 apartments. And we probably feel like it'd be about 12.5 million square feet of office.
Wow.
We've got 4.5 million built.
Okay.
About 20 something buildings. And probably, I don't know, 3.5, 4,000 apartments are out there. The obvious use there is going to be office. If it's not office, I don't need to spread the apartments out more.
Right.
And they need each other.
Yep.
So I'm not worried that I won't get more office out there. How long will it take?
Okay.
So I think that's a pretty safe example. You could have other areas where the office isn't established like that.
Right.
And so there your question's more compelling.
Yep.
And do you come up with entertainment districts? Does retail take on a different role? If office were never to come on an area that we were projecting it, what we'd be doing is just sitting here patiently watching the market. And at some point, if we found another opportunity that we thought was compelling, we'd go talk to the city about it.
Can you even build a spec office building right now? Let's keep going on Cypress Waters.
Yeah.
Will the capital markets let you go build spec right now?
I think so.
Okay.
We haven't pushed it. We've got 2 buildings in for permit, and we've been sitting and waiting.
Right.
But it's just a great location. It is. It's just,
come on, if you're listening to this.
No, but it's on the lake. It's just beautiful. It's on the lake with a soundstage and putting green and restaurants. It's
of that 4.5 million feet, how much was build to suit versus spec, or was it all spec?
probably 3 or 4 built to suits.
Okay.
And sometimes we'd start a spec and somebody'd come and take it.
Okay.
That was just, we were building 2 or 3 buildings a year. It was moving so fast until we hit COVID.
I'm looking at this map. I'm just guessing, but there's, 20 land sites across DFW. You said we're just patient. We just wait for I'm assuming you walk in here every day and there's some element of like, what are we going to do next? Like, we got a lot we could be working on. What is no matter what asset class, what has to, how do you guys activate projects? Is it maybe a multifamily deal in this master plan community is full? Like, it's time to start a new one. Like, how do you think about it where you have so many projects you could be doing and only so many resources and capital? What gets your attention?
So on the multi-world, we've probably got 6 major communities that we can be building in.
Okay.
And so we watch the submarket and just say, when is the right time to step in here? And then in Allen, we started, this is a 250 acre piece of property at the corner of 121 and 75. And we started 500 apartments. That'd be 2 wrap buildings. And went ahead and said, we're going to double down, and we're building another 600. So now we really have a place.
Yep.
Instead of 2 buildings out in a field of 250 acres, now we've got a corner that's got a community, and that's where this Bravo Park is. And we've got a couple of restaurants that are coming in. And then we're going to build a bunch more retail up on 121. So we went ahead to stay double down. But that's what we're doing. We're letting that market then get filled and get stabilized. And then we'll come back over the Austin Ranch and do one there. And then over to Mercer Crossing, where LBJ and Stemmons, we've got some more property there in Farmers Branch. So we just moved back around.
Do you own your own construction company?
For multifamily, yes.
And then everything else you sub out?
Yeah.
How often do you reappraise your land? Like, I bet that's a huge determining factor. I guess you have to put less equity down if the land value keeps going up. How often do you reappraise it?
We don't.
Never?
No, but when you go in for financing, you'll go and say, what does it feel like today's market is, and put the land in at today's market for financing.
Interesting.
Or if it's a tight deal, you might put it in a little under today's market because I need my yield to be good.
Right.
But my cost is...
And you can control that.
My cost is really low. So, that's why we wait.
Are there any good land deals? Is land a good deal right now? Has it have opportunities presented itself?
And Henry's out there still buying. And, he gets in the car and drives out, and the other day he turned around to come home and it said Dallas 56 miles.
Really?
So I don't go on those road trips, but our grandson does.
Yeah.
We have a 12-year-old grandson who's the navigator, and he's the one showing running the iPad saying who owns all the property. So they go.
Could you have ever imagined DFW would be where it is today when you first started?
No. I mean, I was born here. When my mom was little, Lover's Lane was sort of the edge of where they would go on Sundays. And when I was in 3rd grade, 1974, LBJ opened up, and I was at Hockaday. And so the Hockaday campus moved out to that location in 3rd grade.
I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Ross Perot Jr. said something that by 2050 we'll double again.
Yeah. The Henry's phrasing of it is we'll add Chicago by then.
Wow. And y'all are only DFW?
We have industrial in Houston and Chicago.
How'd you pick Chicago?
It was part of what things that were Henry did at Trammell Crow Company.
Got it.
So as a result of that.
Okay. It says on your website, I think you were quoted, or I can't remember, but you said we're also in the events business now. So we've talked about like activating a property. You have to have a place that people want to commune, but you've thrown thousands of events at this point. So let's talk about that. How do you get into the events business?
And you hire some people who are good at putting on events.
Okay.
And the events that we do are just free public activities. And we really started doing all this at Cypress Waters because we have the sound stage. And so from April to October, we have music Friday and Saturday nights, sometimes Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights on the stage. And then we'll get the markets out there, and we'll lease areas for other people to come and put on festivals and activities. So, and we're adding other kinds of little activities. We're not Clyde Warren Park. That's the world-class standard for events.
Yeah.
But we're just something that's great for this area and for our residents and people who live nearby.
And it's, again, you don't have partners, and we've already said math is math. If you did have a partner, I would ask, like, how do you underwrite the events? Is it through an HOA? Do tenants pay into something, or is this just you just look, we're taking this much out of rent and we're attributing it to events in the area?
We take this much out of rent and we're attributing it to events. And so we don't do big, flashy, expensive things. We do a lot of constant small things. or on the pickleball courts. We'll, throw pickleball competitions and tournaments. So we're branching out into more areas than we should be in.
How much effort goes into public-private partnerships? How much are the cities participating in y'all's projects?
They really, in Cypress Waters, we have a TIF. So we have TIFs, and they're Allen and Fairview, and a bit in McKinney.
Okay.
But that's it.
Okay.
They're not participating in the events and things like that.
Okay. Can we talk about the market for a little bit?
Yeah.
Maybe we can go through different aspects. How does the market generally feel to you? That's a broad question, but if somebody asked you, like, how does it feel right now?
It's very solid.
Okay.
I mean, industrial's been strong. Yeah, just fantastic. And Georgia always has something under construction. Retail we do small retail.
Okay.
We do what has historically been seen as strip retail, except we design it so it looks like a neighborhood block. So it came up over time.
Yeah.
Hopefully a little more interesting. But the retail's great. The, multifamily, softened a couple of years ago. The rents are now all on the rise again.
Okay.
And occupancy is great. So and again, on office, our occupancy is great. We just aren't getting to build new. And everything that we're trying to build now, the margins are tight. Interest rates are high.
Right.
So we're doing it anyway, knowing that it's a thin margin for a while, but,
Is that the advantage you have with permanent capital?
Sure. And our land's not expensive.
Yeah.
And we don't buy anything at
I'm not
at a
going to
market.
ask. I'm not going. I would never ask a guest what they paid for something, but I can just imagine stuff you bought in the '80s. What an incredible place to.
Well, yeah. In Cypress Waters, we bought a lake, which was, 50 cents a foot, and then drained half of it.
Really?
Well, that's a good cost.
Tell me about that. I've never heard so you bought it, drained half of it, and turned it into developable land? I've never heard of somebody do that.
So we buy unusual circumstances.
Okay. Can we walk me through what's some other, well, let's just stay on that for a second. So you bought it.
Yeah.
A lake goes like this, if you're watching this on camera.
But this was a man-made lake for a utility company. So the lake and the power plant that used to be there was over here, and the lake went like this.
Okay. So you drained it, probably raised it a little bit, or didn't even need to do that.
This drained the edge and built on it. And then you've got lake edge views.
Is cost staying high? Have you seen it come down?
Construction?
Yeah.
It was soaring for a couple of years, was really painful, and then flattened. And then our buy downs ended up being much better than anticipated. So where once we, estimated a project, we think we'll get a couple of points on the buy down, and we're getting 5-6% better pricing than anticipated. So
what's a buy down?
Once you've estimated a project and you've got bids from all the subcontractors, now I'm going to go give you the deal. And when I'm really giving you the deal, you can say, okay, I'll shave off a little bit on that pricing. And people were shaving off a lot more when they finally signed the contracts.
How do you determine which contractor you're going to pick? You probably, the best in DFW are all bidding on them. Like, what matters to you when you're picking a contractor?
So it's a difficult thing. You always want to have great competitive bidding.
Okay.
But you end up, and this is in our multifamily world, with some companies always come in with the best price.
Right.
Other people are going to get tired of giving you a bid. So usually the one that comes in with the best price gets it.
Right.
Sometimes we might have to make a different decision. But we've obviously worked with them a lot. We know their skill set.
Does that change on asset class, or does it change if you're bidding out industrial or office, or is that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going through a GC, and then whatever GC we're choosing has, their group of subcontractors.
Okay. How's the single family market?
Oh, horrible, I think.
Okay.
We're not in it, but we are preparing some lots and some single family development, and sales are just not happening on the houses right now. So we'll be ready when the market's ready. But
You think we're closer than farther, or?
interest rates,
Yeah.
no, I think we're and uncertainty, and if you financed your home 5 years ago, you've got a great rate.
You're stuck.
You're not selling.
Every operator I know hits the same wall eventually. Your best people are doing necessary work instead of their best work. That's why I like Relay Human Cloud, and it's why I brought them into all the companies that I run. They took the repetitive accounting off my team overnight, so we showed up to work that actually moved the company forward. Pre-vetted global talent, fully managed, up to 75% less than hiring locally. And they weren't a vendor. They were part of our team. Go to relayhumancloud.com/powers. That's relayhumancloud.com/powers.
You've been through multiple cycles. Is there what about this environment right now reminds you of past cycles, and what's totally different? Like, what are the things that we're going through right now that maybe you've never experienced before?
Well, obviously the office market.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think the single family is just a cyclical business. So this is nothing new. Retail's staying really strong.
It's killing it.
And, that's interesting because it's had tough times in the past.
Right. Amazon didn't take out retail,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah.
Is most of your retail like food-based in restaurants, or? Okay.
Yeah, it's very heavily food-based. And then, Pilates and some services. And our retail is always near our developments. So it's part of our developments where we don't run out and buy a future retail site and just think of it as retail up on its own. It's always integrated.
Has design changed at all because of all the delivery, like the delivery apps and the way that food is now being processed and people are ordering things? Or have you designed buildings differently, or has it stayed pretty much the same?
Yeah, what we do is the same.
Okay. All right. I want to just key in just for a little bit on you've had this awesome career. You seem to have as much energy as ever. Like
Hamster.
yeah, you are a hamster. Like, what do you want to work on? Like, what are you working on? What's most interesting to you in this leg of your career?
I've seen it coming for years that I have to reinvent myself. Once the kids get in the business and they know what they're doing, they can go do any of this, right?
Right.
And so what I've been doing is things that I think are much less fun, and but I think added value. And so that's really the zoning work. And now getting into the thing that I'm doing that's reinventing myself is moving into this single family lot development.
Interesting.
But that's, you have to wait till the market comes around. So really, I'm doing and I'm doing a lot of the amenities, this park developments, and Cypress Waters with this trail that we have. It's 6-mile loop around the lake. I'm doing a lot on public amenities to how to enhance that.
On zoning, are you getting more involved in it because it's just harder now to get zoning than it's ever been before, or because
We just bought a lot of land that needs to be zoned. And that's an easier thing for older people to be successful at than younger.
Why?
Oh, because we've got a track record.
Right.
And you just know, when you're young and breaking into the business, you want to pick up the phone and call somebody, and you're nervous. Will they answer? Finally, people answer our phone calls. The benefits of age.
Do you always? Okay, so you just reminded me. So you'll buy stuff that has really no entitlements. So in theory, you would say you're taking entitlement risks, but do y'all look at it that way? Like, do you always have a pretty good idea we're going to get the entitlements that we want? Or are you buying at a cost that gives you plenty of flexibility?
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're buying it at the right cost. So if it all ended up at single family, you're okay.
Right.
But
that's kind of like base underwriting.
Yeah.
Can we at least do single family here?
And then if you're willing to wait till the market washes over you, then your value is going to be going up no matter what you've got. But we make money in the multifamily and retail, that kind of, in the commercial development. That's where we make money.
I have to ask, because you own large tracts of land and owned them for a while, are you all doing anything in data centers?
No.
Okay.
And, that's one of these things you think, if we should have, we've discussed it a little bit, but we don't know what we're doing in that world.
Yep.
And then, you've got to, as you mentioned earlier, have the power. And so we just haven't gone and made that happen.
What are you doing on the 6 Mile trail at Cypress to make it, I think you said, would you say make it better, basically?
Yeah, I want to create an experience that in 30 years, what you'll think of at Cypress Waters is this trail. And this used to be land that was underwater, so we don't have any trees.
Right.
So we've started, 10 years ago doing a lot of this. So the areas that we could go plant trees on, we did. So now we're getting ready to do that in another 1.5 miles. We are putting a lot of sculptures out and around. We want you to have very different experiences where you might be running under an arcade or arch or arbor of trees, and then where you're coming in through grasses. We want this to be beautiful. And then we've got boulders out with quotes on them. So we're just going to amenitize it so it's very different than any public trail system if they don't do those things. And they're not hard. They're fun.
And is that a private project or is that a public-private partnership?
The most recent area that's been concreted
Right.
is public.
Okay.
Worked with Dallas County and the city of Dallas. Everything else out there has been private.
Okay. I have to ask every executive this, but is there a way, we're now maybe 2 or 3 years into the AI wave. Been a lot of things we were promised that haven't happened. There's been things that have happened that we didn't think would happen. Has AI impacted your business in any way, in a meaningful way at this point, as of today?
Huge.
Okay.
I am deeply dedicated to working with AI in any and every way we can. First, in the multifamily area,
Okay.
it has given us tons of savings in time, given our response rate to clients better, permitted our employees to have better customer service. And now we're going to go be much better in maintenance and figure maintenance out. And construction, we're getting bid packages that, the subcontractors always send in bids that don't quite match. They do them differently. We're getting big comparisons solved. In the future, we're going to be able to get construction drawings. Let me get structural, MEP, civil, architecture, and get AI to see the errors and omissions so we can solve it. So I don't have to have change orders. I think in the future, I'm going to be able to come and let me interrupt myself. When we get a lumber bid today, the lumber guy says, here's how much it costs you. Any leftover lumber, he has to cart off. In the future, I'm going to be able to tell you, here's how much lumber you need, and be precise about it. And so that'll save money. You've just hit the button. I can go on and on and on.
Well,
I love it.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
And have you let the team, as a leader, I'm sure you came in and said, we really need to focus on this. And have you let the team kind of, like, they have a mandate, figure out how to use AI to make?
Yeah. I went to Claude and said, here's what kind of business we are, explained all that. What's everything we should be doing in AI? We all get together, look at those lists, and then launch into them. But then, what kind of agent do you need to simplify your life?
Yeah.
So let's get these agents out there working for you. Now, how do we rethink our process so that we can, this is where we're going next. So we can streamline the process in such a way that you just don't need people as much. There's Wooly Walker, had the head of McKinsey, the head of AI at McKinsey, and he's in charge of real estate. Forgot the guy's name. Give a great podcast on this a couple of weeks ago. And
listen to it.
Yeah. It's AI in real estate. I've got the t-shirt.
So do you have like a head of AI or somebody that's like the czar or?
Yeah, we've got an IT team. We have 2 people who are strictly dedicated to AI, and we use it in marketing. If you want to come tour an apartment virtually, it's dull. But if I can do AI and make it funny, I've got this French bulldog, throw the dog into the scene, then it's quick, it's easy, and puts a smile on your face. What an improvement.
Okay. Thank you for joining me today, Lucy.
No, this has been a treat.
awesome.
You're so kind.